Steven, you almost died. And I will never forgive myself for not being there for you.
How? Mom, what are you gonna do? I mean, follow me around for the rest of my life? Wrap me in bubble wrap?
You think I wouldn't?
Feel all the feels. Relinquish control.
They're easily the most promising couple in the Summer I Turned Pretty series. We've watched them go from bickering childhood acquaintances to friends to something more, then back again. We've fawned over them, we've been perplexed by them, and we've all felt the whiplash of their back and forth. But what if the endless push and pull between Steven and Taylor isn't just a random, chaotic drama? What if it's a cycle that we can actually decode? In this video, I'm breaking down the hidden dynamics at play in their relationship. How one character's intentional growth seems to be in a direct collision course with the other's deep-seated fear of getting hurt. This is the story of how Steven's journey toward breaking cycles is constantly clashing with Taylor's fear of vulnerability. Okay, so I might be reading too much into these characters, but Steven is so inspiring to me. Steven is the only person in the series who has to work for love in ways no one else has to. This video is primarily a character analysis on him and dissecting Staylor from his point of view. I'll do a similar video from Taylor's point of view later on.
It's actually kind of sweet of you.
But I really want to understand what makes Steven, Steven. When you think of Steven Conklin, he's Belly's smart, high-achieving older brother, the one who's graduated from Princeton. But what if his constant need for control and to succeed are a byproduct of the fractures in his own family? This is about a boy who watched his parents' emotional distance and their own unresolved issues lead to their divorce, and he's terrified of repeating their history. On the surface, the Conklin family seems fine. They definitely feel more grounded than the quote-unquote picture-perfect money world of the Fishers. But just below that, you can feel the quiet tension. Laurel's divorce is a key part of the Conklin siblings' emotional landscape. It's never presented as a single dramatic event. Instead, the show suggests it was a long, slow breakdown of a relationship. The show hints Laurel's marriage to John might have happened out of obligation.
Our wedding was in my parents' church basement. Anything is nicer than our wedding. And I was 4 months pregnant.
Ooh, scandal.
Since she was pregnant with Steven out of wedlock. This interpretation adds a layer of quiet tragedy to her character, suggesting she may have sacrificed a part of herself for a life that was stable but not necessarily fulfilling. Which, not for nothing, John did say that there were 3 people in their marriage, and I'm not sure if he was the priority.
Sometimes I think the only person you've ever truly loved is Susanna.
That's not true.
There are always 3 people in our marriage, Laurel.
So maybe Laurel has some repressed romantic feelings that she's not letting out. I don't know. Anyways, for a kid like Steven growing up in that environment with Laurel's unspoken unhappiness, it was impossible to miss. This brings us to Steven's complicated relationship with his father, John. There's an undeniable love there, but it's tangled with a deep-seated resentment. After the divorce, John's absence creates a palpable void in the family. Steven later watches his father try to move on, showing up with a new, younger girlfriend. To Steven, this likely felt like an abdication of his duties. In the emotional vacuum left behind by his parents' separation, Steven steps up and becomes the de facto, quote-unquote, man of the house. It feels like he's taking on a burden of responsibility that's way too heavy for his age, sacrificing a piece of his own childhood in the process. This might be why Steven sometimes puts his father down, not out of the same spite that Laurel exhibits.
Not me. Obviously.
But from a place of hurt, resentment, that his father's absence forced him to grow up too fast. This is evident from Steven's tense exchange with his dad as he recovers from his accident at home.
A week off after a traumatic incident like the one that you've had isn't unreasonable, Steven.
You don't get it, Dad. You don't get it.
Okay.
Look, VC is just really high pressure, okay? Time off isn't a thing. I'm sorry, but working at the history department is a cakewalk compared to Breaker.
This could explain his adoration for Adam Fisher as he sees him as a father figure. Steven's role as a pseudo-dad can be seen in his relationship with Belly. John's absence from the divorce, in my opinion, made Belly find emotionally distant men attractive and itch Conrad scratches, but John is generally an optimistic, emotionally available man when he is around, so I think Belly craves that as well, which is why I think she's partly attracted to Jeremiah. Along with Steven.
Oh my God, are you kidding? Oh, this is sick. I feel like I'm gonna throw up.
Pause. No, Lannister. Like I mentioned earlier, Steven became a third parent to Belly.
Oh, and don't forget you promised you'd take me driving.
Belly, I told you I'd take you.
You gonna ask my sister to dance or what, Fisher? Belly bounce. Don't let me down.
Laurel would even defer to him, asking him advice on how to raise her. I also think that their sibling relationship is one of the best on the show. Steven is one of the few people who calls out Belly, along with putting her in a place when he needs to, like a dad, if you will.
My apologies. No, you should apologize. You screwed up, and now everything is weird with Conrad and Jeremiah. I mean, they won't even text me back anymore because of you.
Okay, guys,
Hey,
wait a second.
can
That
we
is
just-
not my fault.
Isn't it?
Then there's his relationship with his mother, Laurel. Like Adam's relationship with Conrad, Steven is her golden boy. This is a dynamic that has clearly influenced Steven, who is just as conscious of appearances and social hierarchy as his mother. Steven's ambition isn't just as a response to his dad leaving, it's a reaction to his mom staying. He watched her navigate a marriage that seemed to stifle her, losing herself in motherhood. In his eyes, his mom sacrificed her potential for a truly fulfilling life. I mean, she's eventually gotten to a better place, but still that leaves a sting in your mind how your mother is struggling to raise you and getting lost in her relationship. His relentless drive to get into prison and succeed isn't just about personal ambition. It can be seen as his attempt to build a future that is nothing like his mother's past. Making his goals and aspirations a major priority, he equates a lack of professional success and financial independence with being trapped, and he's determined to never be in that position. Considering Laurel probably had no money while she was pregnant with Steven, since she got married in a basement church. And again, I'm assuming she got married to John to secure a stable future for her and Steven. Both Steven and Laurel have issues with insecurity though. As a response, they lash out by undermining people. You can see Laurel doing it with her ex-fling Cleveland.
Cleveland Castillo is off-brand Jonathan Franzen. Cleveland Castillo is such a phony name. It's like, hi, I'm masculine, but I'm an intellectual. I bet Hemingway is his hero. I bet he wears horn-rimmed glasses. Yeah, see?
Taking little jabs to assert her intellectual and moral superiority when she finds herself being uncomfortable about his success after first hearing of him. This defense mechanism Steven inherited can be best seen from how he treats Milo.
What is Mr. I don't believe in college having an existential crisis?
Where Steven can be his worst self, becoming someone who needs constant reassurance. Steven's desperate need for an affluent future bleeds directly into his social and romantic life. At Cousins Beach, he is keenly aware of the class difference between his family and the Fishers. They live in a world of casual wealth that can only be accessed as a guest or, tellingly, as an employee. His summer job at the country club isn't just about pocket money, it's a crash course in social dynamics. He watches the wealthy, learns their unwritten rules, and figures out how to play the game.
Those old country club boomers are gonna tip me so hard, man, they won't know what hit them.
This is what makes his relationship with Shayla in season 1 so interesting. Shayla is a true it girl. She's wealthy, confident, part of the world Steven seems so desperate to join. Their relationship was typical young love and served to validate Steven as a person a lot. In my opinion, Steven couldn't have gone on to be with Taylor or Denise without the self-worth he learned from Shayla.
That was incredible. You were incredible.
When he was with her, it proved to him that he could belong in that world. She's a status symbol. This is never clearer than in the high-stakes poker scene where he gambles away all of his summer earnings. It's a reckless, misguided attempt to prove his worth to Shayla's powerful friends. He's not just playing cards, he's trying to buy a seat at their table, to show them and himself that he isn't an outsider. The eventual breakup with Shayla, she alludes to in his graduation speech, feels like a public failure that cuts him deep. In that speech, he says, sometimes a girl dumps you after an awesome summer and it sucks, and you learn nothing from it, but you eventually force yourself to move on anyways. Shayla was the Daisy to his Gatsby, and despite how performative Steven would be, trying to fit in with the rich kids, Shayla looked past that. She loved him because he was quite different. However, when she left him, it seemed to reinforce his deepest fears of inadequacy. For a moment, I want to pivot as to the main reason why I think Steven feels so damn insecure. Partly why he's an overachiever, and one of the reasons why he wants to be affluent along with caring about his image so much is because, in my opinion, he's overcompensating for his race. Steven is a biracial half-Asian man in a white world that emasculates and demeans Asian men. We see many examples of this on the show.
Oh, you're just jealous because Jer has a better body than you. I wouldn't want to break your delicate little shoulder.
No.
You scared the shit out of everyone. You know that? Belly was worried to death. I knew you were just being a drama queen. Maybe if you had some hair on your chest, I wouldn't be sliding all over the place.
Okay, let's just go. Let's just go.
Everyone emasculates Steven, especially Taylor. Taylor straight up dog walks Steven to a point where it's concerning.
What?
The way she controls Steven in season 3 to be her sneaky link whilst having a boyfriend. I mean, Taylor has her issues and I'm sure she's done it to other suitors, but my god, Shayla is the only person who reciprocates his puppy dog love and tries to reassure him.
My hardworking man.
Seeing things from this perspective adds another layer to Steven idolizing Adam Fisher. It's not just because he sees him as a father figure, he wants his privilege, respect towards his masculinity. Not to mention most of Steven's rivals are white men, and when you see them belittle him, it feels a little racially charged. When Shayla's friends / ex rolls up on Steven and invites him out to poker, he wants to be like them. but he's also trying to show them up since they literally made passes at his girl in front of him. It's a similar thing with Milo. Sure, Steven is wrong for trying to get with Taylor while she's with Milo, but I believe the reason Milo was so cool initially with Taylor and Steven hanging out despite them making out in season 1 was because he never thought that the Asian nerd could get his girl until it was too late. That's why the fight was more about the boys than Taylor. Steven is constantly trying to defend his masculinity, proving he's just as good as any white boy he's constantly pitted against. Steven isn't the preference.
I had a crush on you for a really long time. And I didn't tell anyone about it. I didn't even tell Belly. It was just it was too embarrassing.
It's really
Which is vastly different from Belly, who in society has a better standing in the dating pool than he does. She's sought after, so she gets a pick of the litter. No one seeks out Steven, and I don't count Taylor because when she made a move, after being rejected, she perpetually punishes Steven. Just in general, Steven has to work way harder just to get a girl. I mean, I know he likes a challenge, but Lord have mercy, I don't see nobody else trying to go through all this. The Fishers have girls throwing themselves at them, for God's sakes. Even Adam has somebody throwing themselves at him. Then when Steven has the girl, he has to work harder to keep them. People making passes at Shayla. Taylor leaves every single minute. I don't know, what's going on. Steven had a girlfriend, Mia, who he stepped out on to be with Taylor, but listen, does she even exist? Because let me tell you, her name Mia is perfect because she's always missing in action. And not for nothing, I do wonder what role his parents play into all this because Laurel married John. So even in his home, the message was reinforced. He wasn't the preference, the white man is. If Shayla represented the validation and self-worth for Steven, then Taylor Jewel represents a crash course in authentic connection. Their dynamic is built on years of shared history and classic frenemies to lovers arc. Taylor knew Steven through all his awkward phases long before he became Princeton Steven. This partnership is far from perfect, mind you. However, Taylor brings some groundedness. She calls out Steven and challenges him and absolutely refuses to be impressed by his accomplishments.
stupid.
Can I tell you something? Not everyone measures people's worth by what Ivy they go to. You know that, right? Those schools are just full of assholes who think that they run the world.
This is probably the reasons why he couldn't stand Taylor being attracted to Milo. Milo is an artistic, easygoing musician, the polar opposite of Steven's buttoned-up achievement-oriented persona. Unable to compete on these terms, Steven defaults to the behavior he learned from Laurel. He belittles Milo. He makes sarcastic jabs about Milo's career, mocks his emotional sincerity, and generally tries to frame him as a frivolous, unserious person. He makes sarcastic jabs about Milo's career, mocks his emotional sincerity, and genuinely tries to frame him as a frivolous, unserious person, like what Laurel does with Cleveland. And you gotta think about it, going back to the Asianness, could Steven get a girl if he was like Milo? Sometimes I wonder, you know what I mean? But anyways, Steven also lashes out because Milo's confidence in a non-traditional path threatens his entire worldview, which dictates that value comes from prestige and academic success. Their journey is all about learning to let go of that stringent point of view and seeing how vulnerable love can be. When Taylor admits her own fears with stunning honesty, she's always the one who cares more in the relationships and is terrified of him breaking her heart. That confession flips the script completely. Kissing Taylor is an act of emotional surrender. He's choosing a connection that's messy, real, and totally out of his control.
Feel all the feels. Relinquish control.
A byproduct of witnessing life-changing events, Steven has spent years trying to engineer every part of his life. Being an overachiever, he couldn't prevent his parents' divorce. He couldn't make his dad stay after the divorce. He couldn't prevent being the man of the house. He couldn't stop Susanna from passing. He couldn't stop Belly from entering a relationship with the Fishers, but he could work his butt off to be valedictorian. He could pick his romantic partner, and he could work to be a Princeton grad. Steven's relationship with Taylor suggests he's finally starting to unlearn the lessons from his parents' fractured marriage. That you don't have to settle for safe love, and vulnerability isn't a weakness to be hidden or belittling others. It can be a genuine, if sometimes scary, partnership. Confusingly enough, his separation from Taylor also supports that he's putting all the life lessons that he's learned from his parents, Shayla, and even from Taylor into practice. Lesson 1, love shouldn't be self-sacrificing. Your aspirations are just as important as romance. Lesson 2, always go all in with love, healthily. You only get what you put in with love. Life is too short to spend it with someone you aren't crazy about. In lesson 3, don't waste your time fulfilling a cup that refuses to reciprocate. It's been years with the back and forth with Taylor, and Steven wants to stop playing games. He doesn't want to end up like his father, being Laurel's emotional punching bag. Taylor's all about avoidance. She seems trapped in a loop of self-sabotage, driven by a profound fear of being hurt. Her primary defense is to care less, keep her guard up, and run from the very thing that she desires most. The central conflict of her relationship is the internal war between her longing for Steven and her terror of what that longing means. Their entire relationship hinges on a single repeating challenge. Is Taylor brave enough to love? Steven's journey is one of the most realistic and compelling arcs in the series. He's so much more than the funny older brother. He's breaking generational curses in real time, and I hope that the show keeps him away from Taylor.
That's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen.
I hope Steven actually bets on himself and becomes one of the few characters in the show to really breach out of the world that they used to and just actually really do something good for themselves. But what do you think? What makes Steven tick? Do you see parallels between him and his mom? Do you like his choices? Let me know down below. In the end, Stephen Conklin is a fascinating paradox. A golden boy just like Conrad, but he's forged in the quiet heartbreak of his family. His ambition, his focus on image, and his need for control can all be read as coping mechanisms he's developed in response to his father's absence and his mother's perceived sacrifices. But there's more to the guy than just his hardships. He's someone willing to move heaven and earth for the people he loves. Steven is incredibly protective, he's emotionally present, and very communicative, which is why it's no surprise he's a hopeless romantic, but in the best way. From all this, I think Steven understands the importance of having deep, genuine connections. His best moments are with the women in his life, Belly, Laurel, Taylor. All know he's there for them if they need him. And that can be seen with how dedicated he is in all his romantic pursuits. However, now he understands the importance of reciprocation. If his partner isn't giving him what he needs, he can move on. I think aside from the accident, part of the reason Steven ends his situationship with Taylor is because he sees Laurel and Taylor, just a little bit, being too emotionally withholding. He's not sacrificing himself. That goes for his ambitions as well. No romance will get in the way of his self-worth or his life plan. He's becoming a well-rounded person, someone who knows himself, knows what he wants, and what he brings to the table. This is husband material right here. Sailor's journey is powerful, if frustrating, exploration of how personal growth and personal baggage collide. Steven has done the work to become ready for a healthy adult relationship. The question remains whether Taylor can break free from her own toxic cycle to meet him there. As always, thanks for watching. Please comment, like, subscribe.